Okay, this short video will be describing roughly how in stick framing with lightweight wood framing, a roof, slope roof made out of rafters, not trusses but rafters, meets an exterior wall that's wood framed. So we'll start by sketching that exterior wall. The outside is to the left, inside is to the right. So I'm drawing the sheathing on the face of the core framing right now. Let's say that there may be an airspace or a rain screen, and then on the outside of that maybe some wood siding of some sort. On the inside there might be gypboard or something like that. At the top of this framed wall, we'll have a double top plate. Since it's a 2x6 wall, the two top plates will each be 2x6s. Now, if we have a rafter resting on this, then we need to pay attention to this point right here, because that's the point at which the rafter needs to get full bearing. So let's say that this is our framing for our rafter, and it's maybe a 2x12 or something like that. We will cut a triangle out of the bottom of that rafter called a bird's mouth. And that bird's mouth needs to be cut to allow maximum surface contact right here to the top. So it needs to have it at 5.5 inches full surface contact on top of that double top plate. Now, in this example, we're going to use a square cut fascia, not plumb cut. Now remember that plumb cut is straight down like this, plumb with the earth. Square cut is square to the rafters. So square being that 90-degree angle right there. So, okay, let's say that your roof buildup has decking on top of it and some ice or water shield, and then a layer of shingles. And on the outside we have fascia, and you may have modified the stock fascia that Revit gives you to be a 2-layer fascia or something. So it could be a 2x6 or something on top of a piece of 1x material that comes down here. And we have a soffit material underneath the rafter on the outside side. We have a roofing material on the bottom side of the rafter, on the interior, a ceiling material, not a roofing material, on the underside of the rafter. So it could be gypboard, it could be any number of materials that you've chosen. Now, we need to remember that this roof structure needs to breathe. So while we will have insulation in this roof, we also need to make room for air to go over the top of that insulation so that it can be vented out of the roof someplace to keep moisture from being trapped in there and mold and that kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up this soffit with a vent down here. Now that vent can be little circular discs about 2 inches diameter, or it can be a continuous vent, a soffit vent that's about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So for right now, we'll call it a continuous vent, and it'll have tabs up here that can lay in here and be like a bug screen to keep bugs and things out. But it'll be a vent that can allow air to get in. Now, this wall will have insulation in it in our area to keep the cool in the summer and the heat out. And over the top of this living space, we'll also have insulation in this roof rafter. But we don't need insulation outside of this wall. Now, remember, our grid line is going to be right here on the face of the framing itself, right here. So what we need to do is put a piece of blocking in here, a vertical 2x piece of wood, the 2x6, 2x8, whatever it needs to be. The criteria for which we need to be able to make sure that air can come in here and get across the top of that 2x piece. Another purpose for that 2x piece is to keep insulation from slipping out over into the soffit area. So it holds the insulation back inside to the area where it can do the most good and keep cool in and heat out. And we need to leave an air gap above it to let the air out. So our finished material here, if we unlock this finished material in the wall properties, we can drop it down into here someplace. The sheathing should go all the way up to the top. The finished material can come down here, and we'll probably put a trim board in here of some sort. Now, all of this is stock. This kind of information that I'm giving you is pretty traditional, pretty normal. It's normative. It's the kind of thing that you'll see all over the place. What you need to do as an architect is look for opportunities to improve or specialize any of these things. You might decide, for example, to do a 3-layer fascia or a 1-layer with a groove in it or something like that. Or you may decide to do a piece of trim that is a little bit different than what we've got here. There's always opportunities for you to do something as an architect to customize. Now, I'm going to make a profile line here so you can kind of see the very outside edge of this entire assembly. I'm going to indicate a piece of flashing here. We haven't talked much about waterproofing in this class. We won't do that today very much either. But I want to just show you roughly what we're looking at in terms of the profile for this detail. Okay, I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to emphasize the lines of some of these pieces of this detail so they pop out just a little bit. When we change material, it's nice to have it pop out just a little bit so you can read it more clearly. And sometimes you'll put wood grain in these areas that are wood, paint grade wood. Now what we need to do is go back in and label some of these things. So what I'll do is mention some of these things that you'll need to label. So I'll just call some things out. You'll need to make sure that your labels are in line, one side or the other, or both sides. That your leaders don't cross on the way to the materials that you're labeling. So you can start here at the top if you like, and call out asphalt shingles. And you can be more specific than that if you'd like, or you can even do a different shingle. You can do wood shingles or metal roof or whatever it is you want to do, whatever your roof buildup is calling for. You can call out for an underlayment of some sort, an ice and water shield. Let's see, we've got our fascia. Let's say that we've got a 1x12 fascia and a 2x6 fascia. It doesn't have to be that way, but it could be what that is. I'm going to go ahead and call this out since I drew it. Drip edge, soffit material. We could just call it soffit board. And I'm going to say that this is a 2-inch continuous soffit vent. This is trim. It can be, let's say it's 1x6 trim. And then wood siding. I'm going to call this a rain screen. What it is pieces of 1x strips that are nailed through the sheathing into the studs at an angle so that they're sloped downward, And the reason you do that in some areas is to allow moisture to get out and also let air get in and dry that surface out behind your siding. Then we'll call out the 1/2 inch sheathing. You can be more specific there too if you want to. Now I'm going to go over to this side. I'm going to call this out as 2x blocking, batt insulation, double top plate, batt insulation, and then I'm just going to say that this is gypboard on the interior. If you want to, you can draw an arrow that shows the air movement here, and label that too if you like. But this is the kind of information that we need on your detail. Okay.